All right, Nick and Andy, it's been a crazy week of World Cup qualifying all around the globe. So let's preview the draw coming up for the 2026 World Cup. Now that we know 42 of the 48 teams who are going to be at the World Cup next summer, the draw is on December the 5th. Just want to remind everyone we'll have a live show across the NBC Sports YouTube channel and all the rest of it. So you can join us there to watch it. And we'll give analysis and reaction as everything's going on. But obviously, there's still the playoffs to decide the final 6 spots, Nick, with the Interconfederation and UEFA. So there's still a few teams scrapping it out. But what were your general thoughts on what we saw? And as we look ahead to the draw, what's your kind of mind focused on? Because obviously there's a lot more teams in this one, but there's also the potential for some really, really strong groups in this draw.
There are. Pot 4 is potentially here, from everything we understand, no longer a traditional Pot 4. And the way things have shaken out with 16 teams from Europe coming and 4 likely very, very good teams coming out of the playoff paths, it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary because the idea, and again, I'm looking at this from a U.S. perspective, but it works if you're English or French or Argentine as well. Well, maybe not so much for the English and French, but you're going to get potentially a much better opponent than you normally would as a Pot 1 team. And I don't know. I don't think I was worried when they went to 48 teams that it would look like a diluted field, but you just realize how many good teams didn't get in before. And so maybe there isn't that. Like there may not be an Italy this time around or a USA, but the teams that did make it, like everybody's in the pool.
Yeah, no, it's great, right, Andy? I mean, we were discussing off air before that this international break was sensational. When you look at, Republic of Ireland making it to the playoffs, the way that happened against Hungary, Scotland, the way that they beat Denmark right at the end with those incredible goals in Glasgow, the scenes, the celebration after Haiti made it, and obviously Curacao as well, and some of the great storylines coming out of lesser nations around the world, who've never really had the chance to qualify for the World Cup, but because of this expanded format, now it opens it up to a whole new bunch of countries, and it's been wonderful to see, right? I think it's renewed our love for the international game, a lot of us.
Yeah, it has, and I think we needed that as well. I'll peel the curtain back here a little bit. These international breaks roll around, and we don't love them here at PST because, it cuts into our Premier League action, and we're rolling through the season, and then we just hit a hard stop, and then we take off for 2 weeks. And sometimes the games are all right, and, it's football. We're going to sit down and watch it anyway. But this was the international break that kind of, revived that love of international football. And I think also for me personally, it reminded me of just the enormity of the World Cup and what it means and how I got into the sport as well back in 2002 when it was in South Korea and Japan and the USA making that run that they did in that tournament and seeing other nations, other fan bases, and even just thinking about young people in the United States and other powerhouse countries. Not that the U.S. is one of the powerhouse national teams, but new people that are going to be brought into the sport during this tournament next summer. I think we focus so long about what is the World Cup going to do for the sport in the United States? Is it going to make it more popular? Who cares? We're going to enjoy the heck out of this tournament. And the fact that there's 48 teams now, Nick is right. There are so many more quality teams in the world now. I think it's because of how many top players there are from, some nations that you wouldn't expect. And players get discovered earlier these days and they get funneled into some of the bigger clubs and developed and more well-known. And everything seems to kind of be culminating in this 2026 World Cup coming next summer. And this was the international break that really, really pushed me over the edge of it's going to happen too. I can't wait for it to get here.
Yeah, you're right. I think that reality hit me as well when, fans of teams all over the world, we're booking our flights, we're planning out and, it's almost here. Obviously the draw, Nick, we need to figure out where teams are playing, who they're playing against. But in terms of the favorites, have we changed our mind a little bit on any, is it still Argentina, France, Spain in terms of the actual favorites to win this tournament?
Man, it's so interesting because anyone I say, you can counterpoint me. Like, that's the thing. Looking at pot one and thinking about these teams, obviously Argentina, the returning champs, England, strong England, France, unbelievable depth. Brazil, to me, you're talking about the ultimate ego massager, with apologies to Zinedine Zidane and Carlo Ancelotti. Could this be Brazil finally coming back to glory? Portugal's final World Cup for Cristiano Ronaldo, even though it looks like he's going to miss a game maybe along the way. Who knows? It's loaded. And what occurred to me, just to put a spin on it, of how many dark horses there will be, is I have a 15-year-old son, and we kind of, we will work this tournament, but obviously I'll watch this tournament with him as well. And I said to him, we're looking at where the games are going to be. I said, hey, does it bother you at all conceptually if the game we end up getting tickets to and going to is France versus Uruguay, or if it's Curacao versus Austria? And he's like, I don't care. That's the thing about the world. It all matters. The culture's jammed into the stadium. And because of that, and because of it being in the US and the hot temperatures and what that could mean for Europe, there are so many more dark horses than usual. So yes, I think the favorites are the favorites, but anything's possible. USA.
Yeah, they're looking a lot better, right, Andy? I think in terms of sort of the best and worst case scenarios for the USA in the draw, if we look at the pots that obviously will be confirmed, they're going to be in pot one. We know that for sure, but kind of want to avoid Croatia, Morocco, Colombia, right, in that pot two. And then pot three, nobody wants to get Norway the way they're playing. Of course, there's limits to only 2 European teams in each group. So there's that as well to think about. And then there's some decent teams in pot four. Like we said, it could be potentially having Italy in that pot as well. So, there's some great teams, obviously, that you want to avoid. But what do you think from the USA's perspective? Who do you want them to draw?
Well, you were right on Croatia. I want no part of Luka Modric at his final World Cup. The way that he just continues to go and go and go. Morocco, I think we all remember what they did at the last tournament. Building and building and building. I would back them to make another deep run. I'm curious. I'm going to throw the question back to you, Joe. How would other nations, and how would obviously can't happen because it's England and US and they're both in pot one, but how would people feel about getting the USA in their group at this point? Because they've not had qualifying. We've not really seen them play competitive games, and they struggled through a large portion of these last few years. But right now, the way that Pochettino has them looking, it's a little bit of a different prospect.
Yeah, and true. And it's a lot of prospects that are playing, right? Because a lot of the main players for the US haven't been playing. So I think they'd be quite difficult to scout heading into this tournament, because no one's really seen their full strength team together for most of Pochettino's reign. I think most teams will be quite wary. If you're a Switzerland or Japan or Morocco facing the US on home soil. And then again, you look down to pot three, Egypt, Scotland, maybe. I don't think you want to play them. I really don't think you want to. Nobody really ever wants to play the host nation because they know that swell of encouragement, excitement, always pretty much seems to get a better tune out of the host nation and the team, and they rally and all the rest of it. So, yeah, I think there, already is the optimism building around the USA men's national team, given some of the recent performances. But the closer we get to this World Cup next summer, it's just going to be growing and growing. And I think this team's probably going to take a lot of confidence from it. And I think they have nothing to lose at this point. And yes, there'll be pressure on them, but I think you don't want to play them if you're one of those other teams in pot two or pot three.
In the heat.
Yeah, you're right. You mentioned it. It's going to be I think we're going to talk about it a lot in the build-up, how European teams and teams from elsewhere in the world are going to prepare themselves in the US, Mexico, and Canada leading up to this tournament. I'm sure we're going to be talking about, different cold, hot tanks, all the rest of it. Just try. I don't know what they're going to do, but there's going to be special science going on for these players here, because a lot of them aren't going to be used to these kind of conditions we're going to see in the summer. In terms of the draw then, lads, just want to remind everyone again, tune in, join us. December the 5th, 12 Eastern, on NBC Sports' YouTube channel and across social media. The three of us will be joining you live for analysis reaction as the draw happens. Cannot wait for that. Nick and Andy, thanks so much for joining me to break this down, and really did enjoy this final international window of 2025, and roll on the draw on December 5th.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host of NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long, and for even more Premier League content from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock.